a single aircraft costing more than 3 F-35 jets combined. A program so expensive it nearly got canceled overnight. A fighter jet that holds the key to America's air dominance for the next 50 years. The Air Force's next-generation air dominance fighter faced a problem so massive it threatened to ground the entire project before it even took off. This isn't just about money. This is about America's ability to control the skies when it matters most. March 21, 2025. President Trump stands in the Oval Office announcing Boeing as the winner of the most critical defense contract in decades. The F-47 fighter is born, but getting to this moment nearly broke the Air Force's budget and tested every assumption about modern warfare. The journey to this announcement reveals the biggest challenge any military aircraft has ever faced in American history. The problem wasn't just technical, it wasn't just political, it was existential, and solving it required rethinking everything we know about air superiority. In May 2024, Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall did something unprecedented. He paused the entire NGAD program. Not delayed, not reviewed, paused. Complete stop. The reason was staggering. Cost estimates had spiraled to $300 million per aircraft. To put that in perspective, that's enough money to buy 4 F-35 Lightning jets and still have change left over. It's more than some countries spend on their entire Air Force in a year. But here's what makes this even more shocking. The Air Force had already spent $4 billion on the program by 2024. They were committed, they were invested, and they were facing a financial cliff that could have ended America's next-generation air superiority before it began. The numbers were brutal. Original projections suggested the program would need $19.6 billion over 5 years just for development. That doesn't include production costs. That doesn't include the 1,000 collaborative combat aircraft drones that would fly alongside each fighter. The total lifetime cost was heading toward hundreds of billions of dollars. If you believe America needs the most advanced fighter jets in the world to stay safe, type yes in the comments below. Pentagon officials weren't just worried about the money. They were questioning whether the entire concept made sense anymore. General James Slife, the Air Force Vice Chief of Staff, put it bluntly. He said they were going back to the beginning and asking a fundamental question. How do we achieve air superiority in a contested environment? Notice he didn't ask how to build a 6th-generation fighter. He asked how to win. This wasn't just budget anxiety. This was strategic doubt at the highest levels of military leadership. Before we explore how America solved this crisis, I'd like to ask for your support. If you value learning about our military's incredible capabilities, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs nothing, but helps us tremendously. So did you click subscribe? While the Air Force wrestled with costs, something happened that changed the entire equation. December 2024. China unveiled not one, but 2 6th-generation stealth fighter prototypes. The message was clear. America's potential adversaries weren't waiting for budget committees to make decisions. Air Force Secretary Kendall had been saying for months that China wasn't a future threat. China was a current threat. Today, right now. The Chinese aircraft revealed in December proved his point in the most dramatic way possible. Intelligence analysts immediately recognized the implications. These weren't concept aircraft or technology demonstrators. These were flying prototypes that looked remarkably similar to classified NGAD designs. China had clearly been watching American development closely and building their own answer. The timing couldn't have been more significant. Here was America's Air Force questioning whether it could afford its next-generation fighter, while China was actively testing theirs. The strategic implications were enormous. Brian Clark from the Hudson Institute summed up what many defense experts were thinking. The Chinese aircraft could be the exact adversary NGAD was designed to fight. Canceling the American program now would hand China an uncontested advantage in the skies. This revelation forced Pentagon leadership to confront an uncomfortable truth. The cost of NGAD might be enormous, but the cost of not having NGAD could be catastrophic. But cost wasn't the only challenge threatening NGAD's future. The program was built on assumptions about air warfare that were rapidly becoming outdated. When NGAD development began, fighter jets were primarily single-platform weapon systems. The pilot flew the aircraft, operated the sensors, and engaged targets. By 2024, that model was obsolete. The revolution came from something called collaborative combat aircraft. Think of them as loyal wingman drones. These unmanned aircraft could carry weapons, gather intelligence, conduct electronic warfare, and even serve as decoys. The game-changing part? Each NGAD fighter could control multiple drones simultaneously. Suddenly, the cost equation looked different. Instead of buying one $300 million aircraft, the Air Force was buying a complete battle network. One pilot could control an entire squadron's worth of capability. The human became the quarterback, directing AI-powered teammates across the battlefield. This wasn't just about technology. This was about changing how America fights wars in the air. General Atomics and Anduril were already building prototype drones for the program. These weren't simple remote-controlled aircraft. These were sophisticated platforms with their own sensors, weapons, and decision-making capabilities. They could operate independently when needed or follow complex commands from their human controllers. The Air Force realized they weren't just building a fighter jet anymore. They were building the command center for future air battles. While engineers worked on technical solutions, NGAD faced another enemy: politics. The program became a target for budget hawks and technology skeptics throughout 2024. Elon Musk, who had been appointed to the Department of Government Efficiency, publicly criticized the entire concept. He argued that manned fighter jets were obsolete in the age of drones. His influence in the new administration made program supporters nervous. Musk's criticism wasn't entirely wrong. Drones offered significant advantages. They didn't need life support systems. They could pull higher G-forces than human pilots could survive. They were potentially much cheaper to build and operate. Most importantly, losing a drone didn't mean losing a trained pilot, but Air Force leadership pushed back hard. Frank Kendall, still Air Force Secretary at the time, responded directly to Musk's comments. He acknowledged that unmanned systems would eventually dominate air warfare, but emphasized that day hadn't arrived yet. The technology simply wasn't ready to handle the most complex air-to-air combat scenarios. The debate revealed a fundamental tension in military planning. How much should current decisions be based on future possibilities versus present realities? Through 2024, while public debate raged about the program's future, two companies continued developing their NGAD proposal. Boeing and Lockheed Martin had been competing for the contract since the program's inception. Northrop Grumman had dropped out in 2023, leaving just these two aerospace giants. Both companies knew they weren't just competing for a contract. They were competing for the future of American air power. The winner would build the aircraft that replaced the legendary F-22 Raptor. The stakes couldn't have been higher. Boeing had made what they called the largest investment in their defense division's history, preparing for this competition. They built new facilities, hired specialized engineers, and developed manufacturing processes specifically for sixth-generation fighter production. They were betting everything on winning NGAD. Lockheed Martin brought different advantages. They had built both the F-22 and F-35 programs. They understood stealth technology, advanced sensors, and the complexities of modern fighter aircraft better than anyone. They were the defending champions. The competition intensified as both companies worked to address the Air Force's cost concerns while maintaining the performance requirements that made NGAD necessary. What most people didn't know during the public debates about NGAD's future was that test aircraft had been flying for years. President Trump revealed during his March 2025 announcement that experimental versions of the F-47 had been secretly flying for almost 5 years. This wasn't just marketing. These flights had generated crucial data about the aircraft's capabilities and validated the core technologies that made the program possible. Test pilots had been pushing the boundaries of what sixth-generation fighters could do, proving that the enormous investment was producing real results. The secret flight program also tested the integration between manned fighters and unmanned drones. This was perhaps the most critical aspect of the entire system. Could human pilots effectively control multiple AI-powered aircraft while managing their own complex missions? The test flights proved it was possible. These flights gave Air Force leadership confidence that NGAD wasn't just an expensive experiment. It was a working system that could deliver the air superiority America needed. By early 2025, the pieces were falling into place. The Air Force had completed its comprehensive review of the program. The conclusion was unanimous. America needed NGAD, but it needed a smarter, more cost-effective version than originally planned. The solution combined technological innovation with strategic thinking. The F-47 would be less expensive than the F-22 it replaced, while being far more capable. It would integrate seamlessly with drone wingmen and next-generation weapons systems. Most importantly, it would be built in larger numbers than originally planned, giving America the air superiority fleet it needed for the next 30 years. President Trump's announcement on March 21, 2025, ended months of uncertainty. Boeing had won the contract. The F-47 designation honored both the aircraft's revolutionary capabilities and America's proud aviation heritage. The original P-47 Thunderbolt had been one of World War II's most successful fighters. The new F-47 would carry that legacy into the sixth generation. General David Ulvin, Air Force Chief of Staff, made the program's importance clear during the announcement. The F-47 wouldn't just be another fighter aircraft. It would be the most advanced, most lethal, and most adaptable fighter ever built. It would ensure American airmen could outpace, outmaneuver, and outmatch any adversary that dared challenge them. The F-47 program represents more than just military technology. It demonstrates America's commitment to maintaining the technological edge that has kept our nation safe for decades. When faced with seemingly impossible challenges, American ingenuity found solutions. The aircraft will have significantly longer range than current fighters, allowing operations across the vast Pacific theater where future conflicts are most likely. Advanced stealth technology will make it virtually invisible to enemy radars. Next-generation engines will provide unprecedented efficiency and performance. Perhaps most importantly, the F-47 will serve as the quarterback for entire air battle networks. Its pilot won't just fly one aircraft. They'll command multiple drones, coordinate with space-based sensors, and direct weapon systems across hundreds of miles of airspace. This represents a fundamental evolution in air warfare. America isn't just building a better fighter jet. We're building the command center for 21st century air dominance. The program also secured American jobs and technological leadership for decades to come. Boeing's victory means thousands of engineers, technicians, and manufacturing workers will build the world's most advanced fighter aircraft right here in America. Production of the F-47 will begin later this decade, with the first operational aircraft entering service in the early 2030s. The Air Force plans to buy at least 200 fighters, each capable of controlling multiple drone wingmen. This will create a fleet of unprecedented capability and flexibility. The program also drives innovation across the defense industry. Advanced engines, sensors, weapons, and AI systems developed for NGAD will benefit other military programs and eventually civilian applications. This is how American technology leadership works. Military investment drives innovation that benefits everyone. The F-47 program proves that America can still accomplish extraordinary things when we commit to excellence. From facing potential cancellation to winning presidential endorsement, NGAD overcame every obstacle through determination, innovation, and strategic thinking. Our military deserves the best equipment we can provide. The men and women who risk their lives defending freedom deserve aircraft that give them every possible advantage. The F-47 will do exactly that. The biggest problem the Air Force's NGAD fighter had to overcome wasn't technical complexity or foreign competition. It was proving that American air superiority was worth whatever it costs to maintain. Today, that question has been answered. The F-47 will ensure America controls the skies for generations to come. If you found this story fascinating, please like this video and subscribe for more incredible stories about American military innovation. Your support helps us bring you the latest developments in defense technology and military capabilities. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.